So I was down in Cork and I popped into one of my good friends, Denis Howard, who's a farmer and a vet. And Denis, thankfully, he said he was going to dehorn the last 2 calves, and I asked him for the brilliance of the basics, would he show me how. So in this next video, we're going to do, Denis is going to do debudding the calf, farmer and vet, and I'd like to thank you for giving us that chance.
Different ones on the market, but you know, something similar to this anyway. They're mobile and convenient, and yeah, they seem to have a nice head in them there. You know, you want a nice sharp head that'll you know, that'll cut down around the horn. So yeah, they seem to work. They seem to work very well. Tommy, I suppose the first thing is the anesthetic, the local anesthetic. So 2 to 3 mils under the skin, and your landmark is there's the groove, really, the groove here, which is called the occipital groove, behind the eye, and that's where the nerve that innervates the horn runs. So that innervates most of the horn. So that's the nerve you want to block.
Okay, so a line from the base, from the back of the eye to throughout that line.
Yeah, so I suppose a line from the back of the eye to the bud, which is here. Yeah. So that line runs along here, and if you're running along that line, you'll feel that ledge of bone here. Yeah. So you want to drop the anesthetic in underneath that ledge of bone, which is where the nerve lies. Okay.
And just volumes of anesthetic, how much you use, Denis?
Yeah, sure. What have I? 6 mils. I'm going to give 3 each side.
3 each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's our line again between the horn. We're going to find our groove, so you can actually feel the groove nicely. So I'm going to drop the anesthetic in there. Just draw back to make sure there's no blood. I give my 3 mils.
Just give it a bit of a rub.
Little rub in. So I think the needle is important. That's a nice little 1/2 inch. I think this is about a 20 gauge needle. So even if the calf does move, these are kind of ideal conditions. But if the calf does move, at least it's not, you know, it's a short needle, so it's not going to do. It can't do much damage. Yeah. So this is the same the other side. So a line running from the corner of the eye to the horn, along here, and you'll meet this groove, and that's where you want to drop your anesthetic. The corneal nerve, which innervates the horn, or most of the horn anyway, runs along in that groove there. Okay. So the idea is you want to drop your anesthetic underneath that ledge of bone into that groove, which is where the nerve is. Even if the calf moves, it's not going to go in too far. So here's your groove. Yeah. You know, 2 or 3 centimeters behind the eye. Obviously, keep a good distance from the eye because you don't need to be near it. Okay. And you just want to drop your anesthetic. Restraint required. And draw back to make sure there's no blood. And there it is, dropped in. Perfect. Yeah, like a haircut. Yeah. Which I'm. Do you want one?
No, I'm okay. Bit of hair I haven't keep.
Yeah, obviously it is important to see where you're going to make sure you can identify the little horn properly, and also you don't want to be burning hair because it creates a lot of smoke off it, and you know, smell and all the rest of it. So you can see the little horn appearing there, and there's no bother locating that. So it's actually quite a nice size to be doing now. You know, this fella's about 3 weeks old, so certainly, you know, you wouldn't like to be let him going much further, really. You know, it's just a nice size to do.
So that's the bud that
we're going to cauterize around.
Yeah,
that bud. Sometimes, I mean, once you can feel the bud, they're old enough to do, really. Once you can identify that bud clearly, obviously there's no bother doing it there. But even in younger calves, when, you know, if you can identify it, I think there's no problem doing them. And sometimes when you're cauterizing, you don't even have to remove the bud if they're very young. You know, but in an older fella like him now, you'd probably remove the bud and maybe go back in and cauterize a little more, just to make sure you won't have any growth or bleeding. So this little fella now is a couple of minutes in, and you can see both eyes starting to get they start to get droopy. Yeah. That's a sign it's working, really. It's effective.
The nerve is
yeah, like you're also blocking some of the muscles around there, you know. So
let's talk about the restraint there, Denis.
Yeah, so this is a pretty old crate now. There's a lot more modern ones out there, but it still does the job. I think the main thing is that they have to be well restrained, even if hopefully they feel nothing, but at the same time, you know, you're dealing with a very hot iron, and the last thing you want is to be burning parts of the head that you don't want to touch, or your own hands or someone else's hands, you know. So it's just for safety, really, that they need to be well restrained, you know. So you can see there, it's quite obvious there, the bud, yeah. You need to take a firm hold, you know, because you don't want to move it around, because it can be dangerous. So I just kind of rotate the iron around a couple of times and then scoop out the bud. So you can see the bud is gone. You know, personally then I just go back in for a couple of seconds just to make sure the job is done properly and you won't get any regrowth. Little bud, keep the ear out of the way as well, because you don't want to be burning the ear. And making sure your iron is properly heated up is everything really. So just rotate it around, go around the horn a couple of times, scoop out, the little bud is gone, and I just give a couple of seconds more then, just to make sure that the job is done correctly. Yeah. The option of using a bit of pain relief afterwards. So this is meloxicam for cattle, which lasts 3 days. You give it under the skin to cover the thing up.